Hi, I'm Curt Mitchell. Welcome to the Eric Clapton Guitar Method. What we're going to cover here is the body of Eric Clapton's work between the early 60s and the late 70s, where he did most of his best work. We're going to start out by giving ourselves an A to tune to. We're in 440, and the easiest way to do this, actually, is to take your tuner, if you have a tuner, and tune yourself up to A440. Now, a lot of the stuff that we do is tune 1/2 step down. This isn't. Standard tuning. Tune yourself up to your tuner, come back to me, and we should be in tune. Or I'll give you an A, 5th string, and you can tune your guitar to me, and we'll move on from there. Okay? Let's have an A for tuning. Okay, I want to talk about the gear for a second, only because so you can see what's involved in getting this type of sound. I'm using a Stratocaster throughout this video, and he didn't use a Stratocaster on a lot of his early stuff. He played Gibsons, Les Pauls, SGs, but he was the very first guy to get that singing Marshall tone out of a 50-watt, what was called a blues breaker now, an old 50-watt amplifier that was a combo. It wasn't until a little bit later than this first stuff, but he's the one who got that type of sound rolling, the very first guy who used it, who got that signature Marshall rock sound. But he was using a Gibson, which is slightly fatter than this. Like I said, I'm going to use this fender throughout the entire thing. Now, this fender's my fender. I've scalloped the neck and consequently had to put some dots on the fretboard so you can see what we're doing. I'm running it into a little Boss distortion pedal for some extra gain. Then I'm running it into a Marshall 50-watt, into a cabinet, micing it up, and running it out to you. And that's all there is really to this sound. And it produces, the Stratocaster produces a sound that has to, it's kind of a singing kind of a tone. You have to play at the Stratocaster. Last thing I want to talk about is the strings and the pickups. The pickups I have in this particular Stratocaster are ones I pulled out of an old Jaguar I had. So they're about 1964, 65 Fender Jaguar single coil pickups in the back. And in the front there's a Stratocaster pickup. And I only say this because there's a slight variation in the tone in them. The rear ones are also potted. In other words, they're waxed, and in a live situation they don't feed back. When they're not potted Stratocaster pickups, they squeal real bad. Now, if you happen to play a Stratocaster, let me tell you something about them. All the people that you listen to play Stratocasters that have a great tone and you can't figure out how to get that tone out of a Strat because it just seems so thin, they play really thick strings. I'm playing 10s, and 10s are about all my fingers can hold up to. Jeff Beck plays 11s. Eric Clapton probably plays 10s. I'm not quite sure. There doesn't seem to be anything written about what he plays on as far as his gauge of strings that we could find. If you use 9s on a Stratocaster, you're going to get a thin sound. Stevie Ray Vaughan used to use 13s. So like I said, the people that you admire who play Stratocasters, you wonder why they have that fat tone. They have a lot of metal going into the pickups. Okay, we're tuned up. We've talked about our gear. Let's move on to section 1 of the riffs that we're going to go through. The first one's going to be Boom Boom, and it's an old 1962 piece of music. I'm going to take it in little sections, okay? And it's got a little section. We've written out how it is that the order goes in little sections, and you'll see what I mean when we get rolling, okay? Boom Boom, here we go, section 1. Here's section 1A, B, A, and C. Here we go. One more time. Here's sections D, E, F, and B. One more time. Here's riff number 2 from Baby What's Wrong from the Yardbirds. Here we go. One more time. Riff number 3 from the same song. Once again. Riff number 4. Boy, there's a Chuck Berryism for you. Let's try it again real slow. Riff number 4. Riff 5 from the same song. One more time. Riff number 6 from the same song. One more time. We're going to basically use two sounds on this tape. We're going to use this semi-clean to clean distorted sound. It's not a distorted sound, it's a pretty clean sound. And then we're going to use the distorted sound. Like I said, I'm using this distortion pedal, okay? And there's the difference. And the older sounds that Eric had, they used to do stuff like poke holes in the speakers and use really bad distortion boxes and make these really furry, fuzzy, ugly distortion sounds until he got a hold of the Marshalls. So we're not going to be doing none of that. We're just going to use these two sounds to get through this tape so that I can show you the riffs as opposed to all those bizarre early 60s sounds. Okay? Let's do it. This is section 7 from I Ain't Got You. Once again. Riff number 8 from the same song. Again. Riff number 9. Once again. Riff 10. One more time. Riff 11 from the same song. One more time. Riff 12 from the same song. One more time. Riff 13. One more time. Riff 14 from Hideaway. One more time. Riff 15. One more time. Riff 16. One more time. Riff 17 from Hideaway. One more time. One more time. Once again. One more time. Riff 19, here's a solo for Swedish Brew. Once again. Riff 20. One more time. Once again. Riff 23. One more time. Riff 24. Once again. Riff number 25 is from Spoonful. There we go. One more time. Riff number 26 from the same song. Once again. Riff number 27 is from Loudy Mama. Here we go. One more time. Riff 28. One more time. Riff 29. One more time. Riff 30. One more time. Riff 31 from Loudy Mama. Once again. Riff number 32, Sunshine of Your Love. This is divided up into three sections, A, B, and C. B is the run down an octave lower. C is the run down an octave higher. This is still, whether it sounds like it or not, and it kind of don't sound like it anymore, is blues format, whereby you take the root chord, progress to the subdominant chord, back to the root, back to the dominant. But they're starting to very slowly pull away from the blues format as we go on here. So here's riff number 32, A and B. One more time. Riff 32, A and C. Once again. Riff 33. One more time. Riff 34. One more time. Riff 35. One more time. Riff 36. One more time. Riff 37. One more time. Riff 38. One more time. Riff 39. Once again. Riff 40. Once again. Riff 41. One more time. Riff 42. One more time. Riff 43. One more time. We've added a wah-wah pedal to our signal path here, and for these next few examples, so we can give you an example of how to play with a wah-wah. Usually what Eric would do would be to rock back and forth in beat, and it would sound something like this. Okay, so let's get on with it. This is example number 44, okay? One more time. Riff 45. One more time. Riff 46. One more time. In example number 47, this is an excerpt from a song called Badge. This has a very Boston-esque flavor to it. If you listen to the band Boston, on the very first record there's a song called More Than a Feeling. It is almost identical. I've got a very fast spinning effect on here. I'm using a chorus pedal, and you could use a phase shifter or a flanger even, but there's something really spinning really fast back there on this, and you'll hear it when I go into it. Let's go for example number 47 now, okay? One more time. In the last example, in the last couple of examples, Eric started to depart from the blues format, as I was saying. This is a complete departure from the blues format. This is riff number 48, A and B, got a little order box underneath it so that you can see what order it would be played in if you were to play along with it. So we're going to take this example 48. Like I said, it's a complete departure from the blues, but you'll find that as he plays solos over these types of things, he's still playing the blues riffs that he's always played his whole life and making them fit in other types of songs. Okay, let's take example 48. Here's riff 48, A and B. One more time. Riff number 49. Once again. Riff 50. One more time. Here's section 52A. One more time. (52B). Once again. (52) section C and D. Here we go. One more time. These next few excerpts are from the song Layla, which he did with a band that he put together called Derek and the Dominoes, trying to be anonymous. He didn't want to be in the big stadiums anymore, and just got done with Cream and all that stuff. And this is one of his most popular tunes. This consumes a few of these riffs, so let's take section riff number 53, okay? One more time. Riff 54. One more time. Riff 55. Once again. Riff 56. One more time. In sections 57, I'm going to go through this little slide piece that Duane Allman was doing with them when they were recording this. And it's impossible to transcribe because they were playing slide above the neck. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of things about slide guitar. There's two ways to play it, sitting down, standing up. There's dobro style. In other words, you sit down and lay the guitar down on your lap, and it's easy to do that because it's easier for me to play that way anyways. And there's also the style where you put one on your finger and just play the guitar like you would normally. A lot of people play like this. Eric plays like this. Billy Gibbons plays like this from ZZ Top. A lot of people who play slide play it like this, but it's easier for me to sit down and play it. Now, as far as slides go, if you're not going to have something slipping on your finger like this glass one right here, you can use these this glass slide is designed to be a slide, and what they usually use is a bottleneck. The people who play slide well, Bonnie Raitt and those kind of people, they'll saw the top of a bottleneck off and round the edges so you don't slice your finger off. And and use glass. Now, you can also use copper. This is a piece of copper tubing. That's all this is. And this is not quite heavy enough to make a good slide sound for me. This is also a slide designed to be a slide, and this fits on your pinky finger, all the way down on your pinky finger, so that you can get around and use your other 3 fingers to play the guitar and use the slide in order to make the slide sounds. What my favorite thing that I found that I could use was, and there's also this, see this, you can almost use anything that's a round bar as long as you're holding it and not slipping it over your finger. This is a mic flip. This is a cannon flip. There's a male cannon on each end of this thing. My favorite thing to use, because it seems to be the right weight, is a 5/8 inch socket, deep socket. And I'll show you, let me show you section 57, which is part of Layla and how he was doing this, and then I'll show you one other way to play. I'll show you the dobro style of playing the guitar, and we'll get on with it, okay? Here we go, section 57. Section 57, I've got this, I got my trusty 5/8 socket out here because, like I said, it makes the best, for me, the best slide sound. It's got some weight to it. And Dwayne Allman, who was playing the slide on this and playing it pretty well, was playing way above the neck. It sounds something like this. So basically, my advice is not to go over the top of this guitar like this, because it's best to sit down and play it like that. If you want to play slide in a live situation, probably your pinky is the best place to put it, or your ring finger. And you want to mute. The thing about holding it like this, it also gives me an advantage, is that I can cover all the strings that I'm not playing all the time. Everything that I'm not playing is muted. That's the key to a slide, and having a good firm bite on whatever note you're playing. See? I mean, it's fading out on me right there. It's hard to keep a good, and it takes a lot of practice. People who play slide well usually only play slide and can't do much else because it takes almost a lifetime to learn. But you can get good results by making sure your strings are all muted and you have a good slide, okay? And your technique is to get in tune. You know how you play in tune? This is a good one. You got to play on the top of the fret. You don't play in the middle of the fret like you would with your fingers. So you got to play on top, right on top of the fret. If you want to play an E note at the 9th fret, okay? And like I said, keep everything muted all around it, and it takes a while to get the hang of, but it takes quite a while to get the hang of. But once you get warm, and you can have some quite a bit of fun with it. Like I said, you use one down around your finger. Here, let me show you another one. Use one on your finger like this. And you can get some decent results out of it. You just have to keep your fingers placed on the top of the neck here. Make sure everything below the slide is muted. Keep your hand muted on the strings up here, and try not to let anything ring but the note you're playing. And it takes some practice. That's how you keep the noise down anyways. Let's go on to section 58, okay? Section 58A. Once again. B. One more time. Here's rip number 59. Once again. Riff 60. One more time. Riff number 61. One more time. Riff number 62. Once again. In this section of the video, we're going to talk about how to improvise the blues so that you can play along with some of your favorite blues players instead of copying everything they do. We'll show you some pentatonic shapes and how to improvise. In other words, what you want to do is to be able to play your own style of blues, say. And it's not all that difficult. There's not much to know about it. A couple of visual shapes and a few picked patterns, and if you can sing in your head what you're about to play, that's what separates the good players from the bad players. People who play with their fingers only tend not to play the guitar very well, and people who play what they hear in their head and it comes through their hands, those are the people who you like to listen to, who I like to listen to, who we all revere. So let's go to 63, and what I'm going to show you is a couple of techniques here that are used in blues quite a bit. Number one is the turnaround. I'm going to combine a couple of things. I'm going to show you how to pick with your fingers and your pick, and I'm going to show you what a turnaround is. What a turnaround is in a 12-bar blues, the last bar of those 12-bar blues is where it turns around and drops you back into the beginning of the sequence again. So here's section 63. This is a finger pick turnaround, okay? Let's do it. Once again, slow. Okay, the next example here, number 64, we're going to shuffle. Now, there are different variations of shuffling. There are different degrees of shuffling, if you will. Shuffling goes from very straight to a little bit shuffle, then on and on until you have what's known as a 12/8 triplet feel. What we're going to cover, though, is just a straight-up ordinary shuffle and not get into all that stuff, and you're going to see what I mean. Let me play 64 for you straight. In other words, in straight eighth note feel. And then we'll shuffle it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here's 64 straight. Now let's shuffle it. Once again, slower. So there's the difference between straight and shuffle. Okay, straight's going to go da, 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 da. Straight eighth notes are going straight in a row evenly, and swung or shuffled eighth notes are going da 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 da. Okay, that's something you're going to be using a lot. A lot of blues is shuffled or swung. They're the same term. So if you got a swing feel or a shuffle feel, it's the same term. Okay, let's go on to 65. This is an example of what jazz musicians would call melodic comping. What we're doing is sort of putting a melody line on the top of some chords and playing some stuff underneath it to fill it up, okay? It's useful once you get the chords down if you want to play melodies, nobody's singing and you want to play some blues. You can put a melody line on top and figure out the chords on the bottom, use your fingers to pick the top ones and your pick to pick the bass lines, and it provides you some very interesting variations on the blues, which for the most part is a very standard form of music. Let's do it slow again. Here's 65, we'll take it in just brief sections. Here's 65A slow. Here's 65B slow. 65C slow. Section 66, we're going to take some shapes. In other words, some visual patterns. We're going to take the pentatonic minor, and I'm going to show you what the pentatonic major is. And it's a matter of shifting one note or bending one note. I'm going to show you how to move them around. So I'm going to show you it in A and G, and I'll run over it in E. And what you're going to do is memorize your root notes, and then whatever key you're in, all you got to do is stick your index finger on these root notes, and you can play from there. So 66 is an example of the pentatonic minor scale in A, in three positions actually. All right, it's very simple once you look at the paper and follow along with me. The starred note is the major, which is the variable in the blues. You can use a major third or a minor third as long as you're in minor. When you're in major, you can't use a minor third, but that doesn't happen very often. So here's 66. Go ahead and follow along. All the circled notes, the circled black notes, are your root notes. They're A's. We're in A right now. The star with the circle around it is the major third, which is the variable you can use sometimes, sometimes not. Here we go. 66. All right? You'll notice I played in 3 different positions here. I started with what I call position number 1. Okay, that's position 1. Position 2 would be... All right. Position 3, or it's actually, there's 5 different positions on the neck, but we're just going to concern ourselves with these right now. So for a lack of a better term, this is the 3rd position we're going to play the blues in, okay? Now, those starred notes, which I didn't include in the scale, I'm going to go over for you right now. You can either bend up to them, or you can slur up to them, which we'll cover in a second, or you can use them chromatically, okay? So let's check it out. Now you notice I'm hammering on those notes, and they sound okay. And you're playing in a minor key, and they sound okay. That's the thing about blues, is it's pretty flexible in that area, in that you can play in major and minor at the same time, and it's not illegal sounding. You know what I mean? So let me show you how to move these around. Those patterns, you can move anywhere you want. If you know where your root notes are, you can move them anywhere you want. Let me show you just the first position with the root notes circled and the little major third. Slide it 1 whole step down, or 2 frets down, and now you're playing in G. Okay? Let's check it out. And the same applies. You slide up 1 position. Here we go. And if you use open notes, you can actually play in the 3rd position that I showed you, and it would come out like this. Now, if you were to do it in, say, E, right, which isn't transcribed here, but I'm just going to show you for the sake of showing you that you can slide these anywhere. Take the first position that we played in, the one where your index finger is on the top and bottom root notes. Okay, so the 1st and 6th string, you're going to have your index finger barred across, basically, and that's the main position that people play blues in. Okay, let me slide it up to the 12th fret, where my index finger is now covering the 12th fret, and we're going to play it in E. Okay, same scale. Here we go. You see what I'm saying? You can slide it anywhere. Let's go to D. Check this out. Okay, so once you have a grasp on these things, that is the main position that people play blues solos in. Once you get it under your hands, you can go all day goofing off with that. So let's say we're in A for a second, right? So you get what I mean. Once you have them under your hands too, try to do this. It doesn't happen to everybody, but try to sing the notes that you're going to play. Try to sing the note that you're going to play, and then it will slow you down. 2, it will relieve your hands from doing all the chores. 3, it makes for a good sounding solo. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the finer points about this. Now that you've got the positions under your hand, and those are the 3 positions, by the way, that Eric plays in. You probably won't hear him play in any other positions in those 3, no matter what he plays, and think of all the stuff that he's played. We're going to do something called blues articulation, or articulation of the guitar, period. And what it is it's the things that you do with your right and left hands that choke on the notes. You're going to choke the notes or staccato them, bite them. You're going to be able to slide things around. okay? And you're going to be able to bend notes just ever so slightly or up a lot. Eric bends notes as far as 2 steps up. That's a ways to bend a string. But bending notes comes out like this. Vibrato, okay? Vibrato, there's 2 ways to do it. There's a B.B. King style vibrato where you take your hand, your whole hand, you tip it like this, and you shake it. It's kind of a hard thing to do. And it comes out real fast. Or the way I like the vibrato, because it doesn't take your hand so far out of position, is to grip the neck firmly, pull down or push up, and rock your hand back and forth. It's a slower sounding vibrato, but it's a lot easier for me to do. What you should do is whatever makes you comfortable. Let me play for you the section 67. And what that's going to cover is slurring and how to slide up and down the notes. This is just a little example of this, okay? 67. Okay, now I'm going to play the same example for you with muted strings. What you do is you take your pick and this fleshy part of your hand right here and press it up against the bridge. Not too much because it'll go sharp, just a little bit. And we'll go ahead and play the same example with muted notes, okay? And these are just little tools that you can stick into your grab bag of blues riffing, all right? A little bit slower. Okay, that about wraps it up. And I hope you got something out of this video besides copying Eric's riffs, because what this could teach you is how to play your own style of blues. Try to remember in the blues that most of the time, less is more. Lots of notes don't say half as much as one note does. Okay? Eric says that. Even if you'll read interviews with him, he's like, I just want to hold that one note forever. And it says quite a bit more than playing a bunch of notes. So there's a couple of tracks on the end of the tape here for you to play along with no leads on top of, so you can hone in on your own style. Okay? And until next time, I'll see you later.